I'm really excited to speak to you guys. I've been following you for quite a while because you're quite busy on the old
A
gigging
little
front.
bit.
Very, very busy. How is the packing going?
What's so funny is that we both had things pop up in our memories from today, like this day last year, about merch packing. Um, well, we just got the rest of our tour merch yesterday, so the packing hasn't really started. Honestly, we're procrastinating. Um, it'll be done by the time Friday rolls around and we have to board the plane.
Well, we'd hope it were ready before you board the plane. Because I remember the photos from last year. It was hilarious. You must have had, I don't know how many suitcases, but it was like quite kind of unreal what you need to pack when you're moving. Well, not move, well, literally moving your kind of life for a whole month over to the UK.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So, and we get three suitcases each that we can check. So we take full advantage of all the suitcases and all the bags. The problem then is trying to book the rental car and make sure that you're booking the right thing since the cars have different names, or it might even be the same car but it's slightly different in size from country to country. That can be a nightmare. Like sometimes the rental car company will look at us, like the people there will look at us like, you're not going to fit all those bags in the car, and we're like, no, we have, like, we know we've got this.
We're not paying anymore.
Yeah.
Well, it's just
It
as
will.
that you're kind of solo acoustic and you're not bringing band members with you because that would probably triple or quadruple the. Oh, there's a dog. Sorry, I love dogs.
There is, yes, yes. Sorry, this is Dirk the dog.
I love dogs. Yes, that would kind of quadruple the baggage that would be required if you had to bring a
Oh,
full
absolutely.
band.
Absolutely. We've tried to do it with more people, but you do need a bigger car. That's for
Well,
sure.
we rented that awesome, almost like a tour bus thing, didn't we?
We did.
Like a huge van.
We did. And then someone sideswiped it when it was parked, and we ended up having to pay an extra £1,000 at the end of the tour to cover the cost of the dent in the side of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Fun stories from the road.
This is not your first trip overseas. Oh, I'm vanishing. I'm back and forth. You've been back and forth quite a lot to the UK. And I've seen that like the UK just absolutely adore you. You can just tell that. Absolutely. There's so much love for, I suppose there's so much love for country in the UK. It's like more of a kind of lifestyle than a love of music. It's supporters go all out in supporting all the artists they do. And I'm sure you found that, which is probably one of the reasons you keep coming back because you've been back annually for the last how many number of years?
Gosh, 10 or 11 now. I need to go back and look. The first time that we came over to the UK, Glenn was going home to visit family. It was in January, and we knew that it was going to be slow here in the US because usually January and February, everything is like kind of November through February, everything's a lot slower here. And so we knew that we would have some downtime. There wouldn't be a lot of life on the road. And so we both went to visit family in the UK. And it started with one show in Basildon and then has grown into the tour that we have right now, which is crazy. But we started coming over, it was the year before C2C, or maybe it was the first year that C2C happened. And because of C2C, just because we kind of started following all of those pages, we met a lot of people just online who ended up, starting to come out to our shows. And it's just been a ripple effect it's like you said, it is truly a way of life. Like, and it's so cool to have watched that progression of country music and the growth that it's had within the UK, because people always ask, and I'm like, for us, looking just at how much, like how big C2C is, or even coming over when we were there for Christmas, you've got massive posters in the Tube in London of Luke Combs, you've got Morgan Wallen, you've got all of these artists that are doing really big things in the UK.
Yeah, but see, I always look at the word fan and think for artists to have fans is great, but I think that the supporters of country music within the UK kind of they love it more than fans would love it. It's like they kind of it's like they live and breathe it, and it's just something so important to them, and they kind of adopt all artists that come over here, like
Yeah.
in a second. Like it's just there's so much love and support and passion for the genre and passion for the artists that come and just passion for what country music brings and just what artists like yourself coming over all the time bring. And something that really was just so good to see was that you're also in each kind of locale, you're having a local artist, a British country artist supporting each of your shows, which I think just kind of, that's just a brilliant thing to do to kind of, I suppose, bring the British country music scene to the front as well while you're doing your headline shows, which I think is just brilliant, because British country music at the minute doesn't have as positive I suppose a love as it maybe deserves to have. And seeing that was just really kind of heartwarming that you're doing that with, and it's like you're not bringing an American artist over, you're supporting local artists, which I think is something amazing.
We have so many friends in the British country music scene, and that's something that since we started touring in the UK, we just thought it was really important to showcase our friends and then also just artists that we've come across, because there is so much talent. And we've, like I said, we've made so many amazing friends within the British country music scene. And we just want them to have a stage to, because sometimes there's not as many places, and I mean, it happens for us too. There's not as many places to just play your original music. People want to hear covers, or they want to hear a tribute show or something like that. So to give them a stage to play their original music is something that's important to us. And we're glad that we can do a small part to help promote them, even if it's at one show in whatever city it is, you know.
No, it's just it's amazing to see, but I just loved that, because I was talking to Katie Whitaker on Friday evening.
I saw that, yes.
Apparently you kidnapped Glen from the UK. So were you born in the UK, Glen?
Yeah, but she certainly didn't kidnap me. I've been in Nashville for 24 years.
Yeah.
So
that's obviously not kidnapping. You obviously you obviously chose to go.
I did snag him and like finally got him to marry me in January. So he's stuck with me.
Yeah, I know one of the supporters, Dodie Monroe, who you probably know well.
Oh, yes.
He asked me to ask Glen who you've all worked with, because he said it would amaze me as to how many people, I don't know, within the UK or within America that you've worked with and what you've done throughout your career. So on behalf of Dodie, I'm asking that question.
there's been a lot of wonderful steady gigs, and then for large periods of time, the record labels would ask me to sub with other big artists. So there really is so many. But my regular gigs that I went on the road for years with, I started with Billy Currington, Lone Star,
wow.
Darius Rucker. I was his band leader for a little over a year. Who else have I been out with? Lots of wonderful artists. And
so
wonderful
many
smaller artists like Radney Foster is huge in Texas. I went out with him. That was great. But you know, I've played guitar with so many. Vince Gill, Keith Anderson, how about all the wonderful females I played with? Yeah. Danielle Peck, Bombshell. I don't know. It's just so many.
A lot. And he's done
Jana Kramer I was with.
It's amazing too, like when you look at his resume of all, it's like all the artists that he's played with, but then all of the things that he did with those artists, like playing places like Madison Square Garden, or you know, any of the late night talk shows that have live music. He's played on pretty much all of them, which is just, when I met him, I was very intimidated, just because it was like little old me who had done nothing, who had just recorded a few songs, and he'd done all of these massive things and has plaques on his wall for, you know.
So at that period of my life, well, I moved to Nashville to be an artist, and after a few years of trying that, I was asked so many times to play guitar for other artists instead, of like be a side guy, and so I did that for a lot of years, and that was wonderful. Like SaraBeth said, I did a lot of great gigs. I played the Grand Ole Opry over 100 times at least. Sometimes I play a couple of times a week. You know, it's crazy how often I was playing there. And then I met SaraBeth, and started to write songs with her and produce her records. And she was really the first independent artist that I started to help. And I had absolutely no idea how hard the music industry is until I started working with SaraBeth, because up until that point, mostly I'd been playing with artists with huge record deals and massive staff that had incredible power and could really get things done. And then all of a sudden you have to do everything by yourself. And what would amaze me is I would come through a venue here in America with one of the country stars as the guitar player, and everyone would be treating me like gold, you know, because of the artist I was playing with. So say it was Darius Rucker, everyone would treat me like absolute gold, and make sure that I had everything I wanted, you know. And then just very shortly afterwards, I started playing with SaraBeth, and we would go through some of these places, and we were the independent act, and you just don't get treated the same. And I was thinking to myself, this is so strange, because I still play the same, everything's exactly the same, but now all of a sudden, you know, you just don't want to help me in any way, and a lot of these places, they were making me feel like an inconvenience for the first time. And I learned a lot about the struggle of being an independent artist. You have to really fight to be heard. You have to fight to be heard.
You know, it's funny you say that, because that's doing like Voice of a Woman and also doing Live in the Living Room, and kind of being a voice for not just women but independent artists and duos and stuff. And the struggles, as you say, are real. Like, they're everyday struggles, and just in the studios, online and live shows. And like, independent artists are the artists that need more support, because they don't have the big record companies, they don't have thousands of millions of dollars or pounds or whatever it is
Right.
support their music. And like, I see it all the time, and it just like, I do sometimes look at like commercial radio. Like, I listen to commercial radio usually, but I don't listen for the music. I listen for the DJs a lot of the time, because I like the DJs. But music, I tend to listen to independent artists. And when people ask me, who do you listen to? And I tell them, that's the conversation stopped, because they don't know who I'm talking about. They don't know the artist. They don't know the songs. And I'm just like, it's amazing music. You need to go and listen. And like, oh, no, I'm listening to such and such. And like Beyonce, or, you know, she's very popular at the minute. And do you know, all music like that. But like, I just love independent music. And I think one of the reasons I love it so much is because the resilience of independent artists, I find, is incredible to keep going, because like the knockbacks are huge, and it's like you're kind of fighting a brick wall sometimes. And that just kind of, I have so much admiration for that, to keep going, because, and also the amount of money you have to spend in order to make one song.
It's true. We are at that point where we've been, obviously with COVID, there were things that were important, like paying your mortgage. So money, you know, money from funds that was supposed to be for going into the studio and doing fun things with music became like, we just need money to live right now. And I mean, at this point, all you can do is be like, all right, we promise new music is coming. It's just been a very slow build. But people will see things like the UK tour, and they're like, oh my gosh, but you're going on this big tour and like all this stuff. I'm like, yes, but then that's a lot of money as well, like putting on these tours, and you put them on and just have the faith and the hope that you're going to sell the tickets and not lose money for the tour. Like you were saying, because you don't have a backer that's backing that for you. Sometimes we'll be lucky to get a sponsor or two, but you know, that could be maybe just every little bit helps. But yeah, it's crazy, but you do it because you love it. You know, we love music, and we've worked so hard, and you get creative, which can be frustrating but fun at the same time when you're trying to figure out, like, how do we promote our music? You know, you have that flexibility, and you don't have a label telling you exactly what you need to do, what mold you need to fit. So there is a beauty in that, where you get to just make the music that you want to make because you like making it, without having to answer to someone else. You're just answering to your fans who want your music.
Yeah, we're desperate for new music though, and it's been very frustrating coming out of COVID. It was very, very detrimental to our career. Really slowed us down in so many ways. I mean, so many ways. Even the you know, the folks that we were working with, they suffered too, and so some of them we're not working with anymore. The whole thing was real bad, and coming out the back end of that, we just haven't been able to find a budget to record music. And like you say, in the modern world, of course, music is free. I know people will be like, well, you can make money from streams, but not to harp on about anything, but you probably know this, 1 million streams, which is very, very, very hard for an independent artist to get. 1 million streams pays $3,000 roughly. And that $3,000 has to go between everybody involved, you know. So, and there's a whole bunch of people that need paying out of that $3,000. So it's just a business card. And and so you need recorded music, but you're not going to make money back on the recordings. You might get bigger gigs. You know, it's literally just a business card now, for real. A very expensive one. And of course, the cost of recording hasn't come down. You go into Nashville and those recording studios and those musicians, you know, they're still just as expensive as they always were. So it's just really tough right now. But we are going in the studio.
We're just gonna set a date. We're gonna set a date and just do it. The money will come. I'll have to sell some guitars. I don't know. I'll sell my car.
You could put on eBay, because if you've supported or played for Vince Gill and Darius Rucker, you could sell the guitars you played there, and I'd say they probably would go for quite a bit.
I don't know.
But you probably, I'd say you're very attached though, because like, yeah, I'd say you're very attached to the guitars, and you probably wouldn't want to sell them.
Years ago, just as a kind of a funny side story, I guess, years ago, when I played with Billy Currington, Billy his label used to buy him ungodly amounts of clothes through his designer stylist, yeah. And I was very good friends with Billy, and we would go to his apartment, and there would literally be piles of jeans and shirts. It was just ridiculous. And he used to give a bunch of them to me. But one time he got this pair of jeans on a music video for I Got a Feeling. And he, after the shoot, he said, "Do you want these jeans?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll take these jeans," right? And I wore them a lot on stage. And then I told that story to some Billy Currington fans, and they gave me an extortionate amount of money for those jeans.
I bet they did. I bet they did. Like it doesn't, like, yeah, even tea bags and things, because I know that it's a Kylie Minogue's tea bag or something sold for like thousands of pounds on eBay over here. Tea bag. Like, I'm like, what?
Oh my gosh.
Like, it was her tea bag. I'm not like, but it was somebody's tea bag or something like that. Something they'd touched, or a brush, or a piece of hair, or something like that sold for. And I was like, that's like, I mean, I love music and I love the artists, but I don't particularly want their tea bags.
That they're trash. Like,
I'm not really into their tea bags.
Their DNA from their strand.
It's not really so, but it is. I think that's where kind of that's fandom, and that there's a lot in that, like that.
Yeah.
That happens all the time, constantly. Which is why I'm saying your guitar that you played with Vince Gill probably would.
Well, I would never give that guitar up.
I know.
That's the beat up guitar that you see me playing all the time. I bought that new in 2001, and I've played it with so many big stars, and there's absolutely no way I'm ever going to let that go. And I still play it all the time now, and it's getting to be where it looks like Willie Nelson's guitar at this point. It is beat up, but it still sounds great, and it's got just so much history in it for me. I would never sell that guitar. But Darius Rucker gave me a guitar as a thank you at the end of his radio tour. It's a lovely Gibson J45. I could sell that to someone. Who wants that?
Gibson
J45, Darius Rucker. I could probably pop downtown and get him to sign it for you too. No problem.
You could fund an album with that, I'd say. In fact, probably an album and
probably
tour all over the world with that. It is amazing that your tour is so, like, as working musicians, I've seen you're always gigging. Like you're always gigging. Like I've seen your tour schedule, and that's a busy schedule. You don't seem to have breaks in any way, shape, or form, to have holidays. And I don't know how you got married in between those days, but you somehow
I
managed.
don't either.
I barely remember it. It was a while.
You just managed
I
to
know
go to the beach and get married between all that.
Yeah, well, but see, nowadays touring is really the only income stream, a real income stream for a musician.
Yeah.
So that's why we're all of us are constantly touring. Now, of course, back in the day, people would go on tour for a few months, and then they would literally rent out studios for months at a time and sit in the studio. They wouldn't even have any songs. They would sit in the studio and write the songs. But now it's not that at all, because there's no money being made from the recorded music. You can't sit at home and try and be creative. You have to stay on the road and somehow try and be creative on the road. But it is very hard now.
Yeah.
It really is. And that's not a complaint. I'm not about to, I love it.
Just the change of
It really
consumption
has changed though,
music,
yeah.
because prior to the internet, that's what artists did. Like your kind of bands who are now like your Queens and your Dire Straits and your U2s and your Beatles, that's what they did. That's the only way they could connect with fans and meet fans, was to go out and gig and learn their stagecraft and learn it that way. And then they would build up enough money to go into the studio and record, or they would find some A&R person who was at that gig, which happened to a few of them. And then they would have thousands of pounds of a record company to make the music. And then a single would come out, it'd be number one for 4 weeks, it would be out for months, and then it'd be followed by another single and then the album. And it would always be new to you. You would always look forward to like getting the CD and looking up the credits and looking up the songs. And consumption of music has completely changed in that sense, because now it's like new music Friday comes and there's a new song out and everyone's really excited. Come Friday, it's like, well, what's next?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you know, artists still work as hard, still cost as much, but it's just the consumption has changed, because internet, in a way, it's good because you can connect all over the world instantly. However, on the flip side of that, it's like the consumption of it's just totally changed, and people expect it to be free now. It's completely a different kind of flip side, and yeah.
I think we found with the concert tickets, especially for like major artists, the price of the tickets for concerts has gone through the roof, and I guess part of that again is because there's not a lot of money being made on the recorded music. But yeah, some of the ticket prices are shocking now. Not ours. We're very reasonable.
Very reasonable indeed. Very reasonable.
It is crazy though, especially in some of the smaller venues that you play. You're just like, okay, well, you definitely, you want to keep the cost down, but whenever your expenses keep going up, it's hard. You have to start to increase them some, but I can only imagine for those massive touring artists who are carrying so many, so many people, there's so many people on the crew, that the whole production, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But
we're just acoustic, nice and intimate. I'm not going to be flying across the room on a wire.
Oh, that's good.
Crazy like that.
You are going to be there at most of them, so you mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping to make the most.
That's really good.
I hope so too. It'd be a really short show.
Yeah, but you're both solo artists as well in your own right, because I've heard material from both of you solo. So I suppose start with the question of what I suppose brought you together to become Royal South. What was the kind of inspiration, and what kind of made you realise that the chemistry was there and you could be a duo working together? A trio as you used to be as well.
So from pretty much from the beginning of my career in Nashville, after I had recorded my first EP and album, Glenn started playing guitar on the road with me. So we were always playing music together, and it just kind of naturally evolved into, like, it was SaraBeth, and then a lot of the shows we started doing were SaraBeth and Glen Mitchell. And then it got to a point where it was like, we're not playing music, it's just us. I mean, we might have a full band, we might have a third person sometimes, but for the most part, it was always us. So we decided, this really is a band. It's something that we're doing together. We really should, instead of focusing on two separate things, just bring it together and, you know, and be a duo.
And at the time, SaraBeth had a whole team of people working with her. I don't know if you've been down the SaraBeth rabbit hole, but she has some incredible material, wonderful videos. And I was producing her, and I was her band leader, and obviously her boyfriend. But when I met SaraBeth, I decided to focus on SaraBeth's music career because I thought, and I think, she was so fantastic. And I guess it's delusion, but I thought that I'd been so plugged in to the Nashville music industry. I thought, I'm just going to play this incredible artist to my record executive friends, and I'm going to help make this girl be a huge star like she deserves to be. And that just wasn't really happening, even though we had incredible material and we made some amazing fans. We never managed to get the big record deal. So we kind of evolved into being a duo, partly because, yes, we were out on the road all the time together, but then we had some people approach us. They wanted to do a project that wasn't solo, almost like a repackaging of SaraBeth, because in Nashville it's so weird. It really matters if you're a solo artist or a duo or a band, and it's about the awards. It's about awards, and they'll look at either their label roster or how many female artists there are, and they'll decide there's too much competition there. What we need is a duo, or what we need is a band, right? And it doesn't matter how good the singer is if they're a solo artist and they've already got their roster full, you know. So we repackaged it as Royal South, and I'm really glad that we did, because it's been going fantastically well. It really has. I mean,
I think last year was the busiest year that we've ever had, and this year is on track to beat last year. Being busy is a good thing as a musician, but we said in 2020, we're gonna learn how to say no. Did not stick.
Doesn't seem to have worked.
A funny story about this tour, which I possibly shouldn't even tell, but I'm going to tell you.
Hey, is that exclusive? Is it exclusive?
You heard it here first.
Last year, we did 18 shows across the UK and Ireland, and we're independents. We're driving everywhere ourselves. We're booking all the venues and all the hotels and everything else, and doing all the merch and just doing everything. And it's like physically and mentally so hard. And at the end of the 18 shows, my body and the way I felt inside, I've never been so exhausted and mentally drained and just physically weak.
In the best way possible, because it was a great tour.
Well, yeah, it was a fantastic tour.
You poured everything in.
But you know, I literally didn't have a single ounce left in me, and I was absolutely wiped out. And I said to SaraBeth, you know, next year, let's not do 18 shows. Let's do 5 shows in major cities. And SaraBeth's like, yeah, but you know, we got to go to different places so the fans can come. I'm like, we'll just play 5 shows in major cities all around the UK, and people, if they want to see us bad enough, they'll come to us. But I'm just telling you, I can't do this again. I cannot do 18 shows. I am almost dead right now. So SaraBeth says, okay, let's try that. We'll do 5 shows in bigger venues, and hope that the people travel and come see us. And then what did she do? She put 24 for this tour. I'm going to be dead. I'm saying to my friends, don't even come see us at the end of this. I'm going to be like a zombie on the stage. That's a joke. I'll be fine. Red Bull. I'll have lots of Red Bull. I'll be fine.
Well, I'm sure like the touring and performing part of it is the reason you do it. And that, like, every night, and all the fans that you'll probably see, fans that have been to your shows for years and years and years, like Dodie, for example.
Oh, absolutely.
And he probably goes to more than one, I would say, as well, because he's just such a big supporter of music in general. And that probably keeps you going after all the touring and the, like, what day is it? And obviously you're coming from another country as well. And I was talking about time zones, and I don't know how you kind of you're over here, like you'd be over here going, what day is it? What country we're in? What city we're in?
That's how you feel. That is how you feel.
I rarely know what day it is.
It does take, we've like, because we've done it so many times though, you do get to that point where you're like, okay, we need to make sure that we, like, little things like routing obviously is a big deal. And by the way, I'm sorry about our dog, because we're gone so much.
I'm a dog lover, so you're fine.
Okay. He would be scratching, barking, and it's easier just for him. He's been right here like the whole time.
Totally fine, absolutely fine.
But you do learn little tricks, like if you can stay in a hotel for multiple nights. So for us, like whenever we play in, say, like Manchester and Liverpool, you find a hotel that's kind of in the middle there, and then instead of having to check out, check in, do all of that, you get a little bit more rest. Even though the drive might be, it's not right next door to the venue, you might have to drive a little bit. It's so nice. Like, just little things like that mean so much when you're on the road.
Just sleeping in the same bed for 2 nights in a row.
Big win. That is a big win.
It's quite the treat. Yeah.
Well, what are you most looking forward to? There's only 5 minutes left in this Zoom, so what are you most looking forward to on this specific tour? And what can you divulge for people that are going to come and see the shows?
Well, it's the same stuff as always. It's exactly as you say. It's about the fans. It's about playing songs that we've written. I mean, you can almost always, you can hear a pin drop in the room, and you look out and you can see that you've really moved somebody, either emotionally moved them, or maybe just brought them so much joy. They're so happy. You see smiles. You see people like cry if it's a sad song. Just moving people is the biggest reward for us. And we've got some new songs that we're going to play for people, and I'm just looking forward to seeing how they enjoy those.
Yeah, it's fun. The cool thing about, like, I love the UK so much, and Ireland. I mean, I love travel so much, and it's so cool to see how it doesn't matter where you're from in the world, what your background is. People can be so incredibly different, but it's like Lynn was saying, you see how your music has meant so much to so many people. And it's exactly like, some of those stories can be a little bit emotional. Some of those stories are just a funny, like, they make you like laugh out loud. And it's you kind of get all of the emotions. And it's also so fun for us, because obviously in Glen, whenever getting to go home, getting to see friends, getting to see family while we're over, and also like some of the dumb things, like, this is going to sound crazy, but I just love a good, like, Weatherspoon's pub.
Oh, we love Weatherspoons.
It's like, it's nothing fancy.
We survive on Weatherspoons.
And the meal deals.
The Tesco.
At the gas stations and the Tesco's.
Tesco meal deals, fantastic.
So the gas station sandwich in the UK is far superior to any gas station sandwich that you get here in the US. Like,
yeah, we eat a lot of egg and cress sandwiches. And there's absolutely no way we would buy an egg and cress sandwich in an American gas station. That would never happen. That literally sounds like food poisoning.
Yeah.
We love it.
I also love, like, we love going into the fast food places and seeing what different things they have. Like, Subway had some doozies. I mean, I was like, this is a sandwich. I'm like, can we please bring this to the US?
Some kind of Indian curry.
There's an Indian curry sandwich. There's the all-day breakfast sandwich at Subway.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some
good stuff.
There's some good ones. But that's like, that's how
I'm excited about all of that.
People are like, they're excited about the meal deal. Okay.
Another thing we love about coming to the UK is outside of music, because we always try and tack on a little trip at the end, and we fly like real cheap airlines, like a EasyJet or something. And we've been to amazing places. We've taken a little break at the end, usually about 5 days. And this time we are going to Santorini. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of, well, it's like a honeymoon really, but we didn't really get a official honeymoon. So
that's a whole other story. I forgot to book the flights and they went up from like $200 to $3,000. So we had to cancel the original honeymoon trip because I was not about to spend $3,000 for a
Oh.
2-hour flight.
No.
right. But Santorini looks beautiful. So we're looking forward to that.
That's absolutely, like, it sounds like you're going to have a ball. And Weatherspoons, I've been to many Weatherspoons, falling artist.
The hungry horse. I like a hungry
The
horse.
whole, it's the whole kind of, in every Weatherspoons, it's exactly the same menu, so you know exactly what you're going to get, no matter what part of the UK you're in. It's the staple. Weatherspoons is definitely the staple of everything. So for people who want to find out more about you, where can they go? Because we need to wrap this up. There's only 1 minute left. Although I could
The easiest thing, this is royalsouth.com. All the things, more things than you ever cared to know about us are there.
Yeah, this is royalsouth.com.
You heard it here, people. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to talk, and I'll see you in Belfast on the very first date. So you'll probably be full of energy and ready to go. You won't be tired. You'll be ready to go.
Jet lagged.
I don't know. There's any such thing as jet lag. No, not jet lag. I'll see that. Be fine. Thank you so much, and all the best with the tour. I'm sure you will rock every single date, and the best of luck with it.
Thank you. We'll see you April 1st. Oh, well.
There we go.